All right, welcome back to day 2 of digital learning. Picking up with World War I again. Yesterday, we did the 4 main long-term causes. I didn't give you that acronym yesterday, but I gave you those 4 words. I just didn't put them in that acronym, M-A-I-N, main. M was militarism, countries building up their militaries. A were the alliances. I was imperialism. Competing over colonies all over the world could lead to tension. And then nationalism for N. Everybody thinking their country was the best and having this pride and love for their country and their nation. And all these things are going to build up and make the situation ripe for war. As far as the alliances go, let me just review that for you really quickly. Remember, Otto von Bismarck, in unifying Germany, was trying to isolate France. He had made France mad. He was worried France was going to try to get some revenge. So he's trying to isolate France, and he does that by going out and getting a bunch of friends for Germany. So, he was from Germany, and he goes out and signs an agreement with Austria, Hungary, and Italy, and even Russia. That the Russian agreement was a slightly different thing, but they were all technically friends of Germany and Otto von Bismarck. And meanwhile, over here, France had no friends. So Bismarck accomplished what he was trying to do. France isn't going to try anything when it could possibly be 4 against 1. But then Otto von Bismarck gets fired. The new Kaiser, the new emperor, wants to make his own decisions. His name is Kaiser Wilhelm II. He fires Bismarck. And then he starts to make some mistakes. Number one, he lets the treaty with Russia expire. So France quickly convinces Russia to join their team. And then the second mistake Kaiser makes is he starts building up his navy. And it really kind of alarmed Britain. Britain started building up its navy. Then you get into some naval arms race. And Britain got kind of worried that a war was inevitable. And they didn't have any allies. So Britain ends up joining this team. So the one thing Bismarck was trying to prevent, the Kaiser has allowed that to happen. Now over here, they are the bad guys from our American standpoint, and they are called the Triple Alliance. And these guys right here are the good guys from our American standpoint, and they're called the Triple Entente. It's a French word, entente. America is not on there yet. We won't get on into this war until the very last year of the war, so it'll be a while before America gets involved. But these are the 2 rival alliances, okay? Now, today we're going to talk about a part of the world known as the Balkan Peninsula. I'm going to grab my phone so I can kind of zoom into my computer here. But there's the Balkan Peninsula right there. It's like the present-day countries of Greece and Bosnia and Serbia and Croatia. And it looks like it touches Turkey over here, but it doesn't. So that's why it is a peninsula. And this Balkan Peninsula was a part of the Ottoman Empire. But the Ottoman Empire is getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and the Ottoman Empire has lost control over this peninsula. So what you see happening are all these groups on that peninsula wanting to become free and independent countries. So that is a very important peninsula. It's called Balkan Peninsula. And like I said, you got all these new countries like your Serbians and Croatians and Bulgarians, and they've been a part of the Ottoman Empire for a long, long time. And now they're starting to become free, and they're starting to want their own country, and they're starting to feel nationalism. So you got all these nationalist feelings, and it's a very diverse peninsula. So you have a lot of different nationalities feeling nationalism, and that could certainly lead to problems. Them arguing over independence and who gets what land. So just the Balkan people kind of arguing amongst themselves is going to be a big issue. Add to that, Russia is trying to get involved in this peninsula now, and so is Austria-Hungary. Okay, so they're trying to do some imperialism there. Russia and Austria-Hungary are trying to get in this area and maybe create a colony or spheres of influence. So in this peninsula, it's kind of bad enough that they're arguing amongst themselves and you got this nationalism kind of fueling tensions. But now you got these world powers like Russia and Austria-Hungary trying to get involved. So it just creates a situation where it's a very intense situation. Sometimes it was called a powder keg. Reagan, shh. Sometimes it's called a powder keg, and keg meaning barrel, big, large barrel, wooden barrel, and powder meaning baby powder. No, gunpowder. So when you have a whole barrel full of gunpowder, is that something you would want in your house or next to your desk at school? I don't think so, because one tiny little spark and that whole huge barrel full of gunpowder could explode. Now, that's like an analogy for this peninsula. It was a very tense situation, scary situation, and one little event or one little spark could cause a huge explosion. So the immediate cause of the war is going to take place here in the Balkan Peninsula in a place called Bosnia. All right? So let me tell you that story, and we will call it quits after I tell you the story. So there was a group in the Balkan Peninsula called Serbia. And they were a Balkan group who had become independent, and they were sort of like a little brother to Russia. Russians, Serbians, they both spoke what's called a Slavic language. And, you know, people who speak similar languages, if you go far enough back in time, they're distant relatives of each other. So Russia kind of sees itself as a big brother or a protector of the Serbians. And the Serbians had their eye on this chunk of land called Bosnia. All right. Unfortunately for the Serbians, Austria also had its eye on this same chunk of land. So Bosnia is the prize. Okay. Serbia wants it, but Austria-Hungary is going to get it instead. So Bosnia becomes the property of Austria-Hungary. All right? Serbia is really, really mad about this, but there's not much they're able to do at the moment. So on a July day in 1914, the future king of Austria is visiting Bosnia, and there's this parade. Him and his wife Sophie, they're in this convertible going through the streets of Sarajevo, which is the capital of Bosnia, and kind of like a huge parade. They're in this convertible waving at everybody. Hey there, my name's Archduke Franz Ferdinand. I'm not the king yet, but one day I will be the king. And since my country controls your country, one day I will be your king. So, like I said, it's July, hot day, in a convertible, going through the streets of Sarajevo, and there are many Bosnians in the crowd. I'm sorry, Serbians in the crowd here in Bosnia. And they don't like these Austrians there. Remember, because they wanted Bosnia. And they're mad at the Austrians because they took Bosnia first. So some Serbian throws a bomb into the car, and Franz Ferdinand blocks it with his arm, and it goes out into the crowd and explodes. And as you can imagine, a parade is going to speed up. You know, they take off and they go into City Hall, and they run inside, and they're like, what's going on? What sort of country are you running here? I come to visit your city, mayor of Sarajevo, and y'all start throwing bombs at me? So Franz Ferdinand was not very pleased, to say the least. But if it were me, or if it were you, and they start throwing bombs at you in a city, what do you think you're doing? I know what I'm doing. I'm getting the heck out of there. I'm leaving on the next, whatever, train, car ride, whatever. But Franz Ferdinand decides he wants to go visit the hospital and the people who were injured in that blast. Unfortunately, they didn't tell the chauffeur. They get going again. He thinks he's on the parade route. So they're like, hey, we're not on the parade anymore. Let's go to the hospital and check out those who are injured. And the guy puts it in, puts the brakes on, puts it in reverse, and a Serbian terrorist jumps out from point blank range, shoots Franz Ferdinand in the head, and then shoots his lovely wife Sophie in the head. So this future king and queen of Austria, Hungary, they get murdered there in Bosnia. All right. Obviously, the Austrians are not happy that their king and queen just got murdered, and they're not happy with Serbia because it was a Serbian who did the assassination. So that is the event in July 1914 when the future king and queen of Austria-Hungary got assassinated while they were visiting one of their colonies, Bosnia. And it was a Serbian who did the assassination. So tomorrow we will see how Austria-Hungary responds to that. Obviously, they're going to be mad at Serbia. You'll probably see a declaration of war against Serbia. And then Russia, who is Serbia's kind of big brother, they get involved. And then the alliances, then the teams start declaring war on each other. So just to review, we got the main causes: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. And then you have this event in the Balkan Peninsula, this assassination, which is going to start this massive world war. So that's all for today. Please keep track with these World War I videos, and hopefully by the end of the videos, you will have a pretty firm grasp of World War I. I will go ahead and I'll post the 4 textbook sections on eClass if you are sitting around bored and you're wanting to read the sections as we go. That certainly would not be a bad idea if you wanted something to do. So I'll let you go for today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Remember, stay safe, wash your hands, social distancing, and hopefully I'll see you in person very soon. All right, take care. Bye.